Good afternoon, dear students, and today we'll be looking again research methods and skills. Our next lecture is about how to write a literature review. Initially, I would like to give information what is the literature review, and I would like to welcome again one more time all of you to our lecture, and I wish you are having a very good start of the research based on our previous classes. So what is a literature review? Literature review is the one section in the research. As you know, it's the second section where you summarize, analyze, discuss what other researchers have already written about your topic. Okay, and this section is very, very important for you. In order to give a general idea, you need to mention that what other scholars have already studied and what was their outcomes and what kind of results they achieved during their studies, and as a respect to their efforts, you need to mention it in a literature review, and you need to show how many scholars have studied the same topic before you. And literature review, lastly, is one more time, it's important, with it is research gap. But the research gap I'm going to teach you in the next class, but today is in general literature review. Initially, what we have to do, we have to read a certain articles. I recommend for my students mainly at least to read 10 articles from the books or reports from Google Scholar database. I mean, at least if you are writing a 10 pages of the paper, I recommend at least you need to write 10 articles from a valuable sources. And the second step, what you have to do, you need to compare, evaluate different ideas, theories, methods, findings. You need to compare them with each other, right? You need to evaluate them. Oh, so what was their finding? Oh, what was their different idea, right? And this is the second step before writing a literature review. In this case, the third step, you know what is known already. Okay, you will see this picture from a wider perspective. You're gonna achieve the mission. Okay, what is clear in the research field and what has to be investigated, what field should be further researched. That's why research in the research literature review is important, because it's a review of previous studies, right, as it is very clear from its name. And the fourth step, this is how the review is ready. This is how it is. You don't write something extraordinary thing. You just review with what is known. You mention it, and you're gonna summarize it, and you will give your own opinion based on the previous studies. But in general, scholars say that the good literature review is not just a list of summaries. It has to focus on the summarize the previous studies. It has to compare the methods. It has to point out which, for example, the opinion of the scholar you are not agree, right? A good literature review is kind of discussion, kind of this scholar said this, while Uzbek scholar said this, while on the case of Chinese economy this scholar said this, while however their opinion was against to this. You will just bring the debate on the floor. This is the literature review. You will just bring the debate, a live debate. You'll say their opinion was like that, their opinion was like that. You'll just bring the debate. This is how it is called, and this is why research gap is important, because through this process we will identify the research gap. Simple and clear guide on how to write a literature review. Initially, you need to define your topic and scope. You have to be clear with your topic. So what kind of topic you are going to do research. It shouldn't be, okay, I'm going to do something. No, you have to make sure what is your topic. Second thing is that you need to find for the sources, available sources, as I said, from a good database at Google Scholar, Scopus, Web of Science, indexed sources. Reading and taking a note. although we are living in an artificial intelligence world, reading and taking a note is very important because it actually helps you to memorize a lot of concepts, a lot of cases. Okay, organizing information, because once you're reading, you will have a lot of information. Once you're reading during the literature, you'll have a lot of information. You need to organize them. You need to say, this is for the case of Uzbekistan, this is for the case of Tajikistan, this is for the case of developing countries. So you need to organize all this information. And step by step, you can start writing the review. And then you need to revise and format. Definitely the most important part in our literature review is considered the research gap. But while the research gap will be given a very clear information of lecture in the next hour video, please follow us. The research gap, I'm just giving the general idea. What is research gap? A research gap is a missing piece or unexplored area in the existing knowledge or studies on a topic. In a simple word, it is what has not been studied yet, or what needs to be more investigated, because in the case of social science, economics, everything is studied. You know, sometimes we research for the topic what is not studied, but in any topic that you have chosen is studied. But what is different, through your research you might give more efficient finding, more efficient result. You might give a different finding, which is can be economically, we can say, effective, we can say it can be less time consuming. This is how we do. And in order to point out what is missing and you're going to fulfill this gap, we need a clear research gap section. It's also in our next lecture. I'm going to explain you how to write in a clearly in APA style. Okay, dear students, when you are writing our literature review, we need to give a citation. Let me give a brief introduction. What is citation actually? Citation is when we are giving a source of the information according to the, for example, Kuldasheva's research in 2024. The author was discussing the impact of the globalization on economic growth and blah blah blah. So you are giving a citation. You are referring some scholar, right? You need to give a citation. In this citation, what kind of format it has to be? Some of the scholars, some of the students, I see they give a citation as a footnote, or they give a citation in some kind of brackets. Dear students, once we are giving a citation, we follow the APA style. Even though when you are copying from the Google Scholar, you might have seen APA style. There is an AML style, but we follow the APA style. It's considered one of the most dominant, famous style globally, and most of the scholars, they follow this style. It's very famous in the field of the social science, education, economics, and the psychology. It's actually the name of the scholar will be written and the name in the brackets. And when we are also setting the list of the references at the end, it has to be also in APA style. That is our requirement, and we need to follow the requirement while we are writing the literature. Moreover, most of the scholars, they also use the Mendeley or EndNote. You can watch later on from YouTube what is Mendeley and EndNote. Mendeley and EndNote is also sources that helps you, that is assistance for you to cite effectively, because here you need to cite manually by yourself, right? But once you install it in your Word file, the Mendeley or the EndNote in your Mendeley, so it will be, you can just from the inside you can search for the author. It will help you easily to cite the author through using the applications as well, the software we can call. If you want to install it, you can watch some videos about it, and definitely you can install in your software. It will just help for you to make it more effective writing. So the major requirements for the literature review, there has to be introduction for the review, a small introduction, what you are going to discuss in this literature review, and the review of the studies, where at least 10 citations you have to cite for the next of your paragraphs. And the next important thing is the research gap. And next my literature in the video, I'm going to show you how we have to write effectively literature reviews, research gap. That's all for today. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll be waiting you all in my next important video, which is devoted for the how to write a research gap. Thank you so much. Bye.